Talk about timing. The exact week that I was set to go back on TV every single day as a TV anchor, Ahhhh reached out to us asking if they could support our podcast for women over 50. So let me just tell you right now, a clothing rental service can be life-changing. I've tried more than one, and with plans that start at just $69, Ahhhh offers the highest value so far. You'd be amazed at how many women you know take advantage of choosing from hundreds of top designers, getting that package delivered for free, wearing the items, not having to clean them, and then sending them back. And before you even send them back, you get to select and order your next shipment. And you know what? I've always wondered how when women go on vacation, they seem to have incredible new outfits to wear for every single activity. Well, the secret is out. Ahhhh. Christine and I would love to share this gem of a secret with you and help you get up to 50% off your first month. Go to Ahhhmoire, Armoire, armoire.style/UU podcast. armoire.style/UU podcast. And then be sure to send us all of the fabulous pictures you'll be taking in your temporarily new to you outfits.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to leave up holiday decorations year-round. Others have the need to use their garage as practice space for their new metal band. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.
Welcome to Uncluttered and Unfiltered, the podcast urging you to let it go and don't look back, with nationally acclaimed professional organizer Christine Stone and self-proclaimed hot damn mess radio and TV personality Eden Kendall.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Uncluttered and Unfiltered. It's the podcast for women over 50 with me, Eden, and with Christine Stone, professional organizer. How you doing?
Good. I'm recovering from a long wedding weekend. Not my own, of
not
course.
Your own, and not a immediate family member.
But a relative.
Okay. Well, we're talking about festivities today. Our subject is actually reunions.
Yes.
Whether it's your high school reunion, 10 years post-graduation, a college reunion, whatever. But we're talking about reunions and just the pressure. Oh, the pressure. And do you even go? And all of these pieces of it. But let's talk about the wedding. Because one thing that happened is you ran into somebody who is a listener of our podcast.
A listener of our podcast and went to college with you.
Iris. She's lovely. I'm so excited.
What a small world, though.
It is.
I mean, I didn't even know you two knew each other, so you never know.
You don't.
You could be anywhere.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Of course, comes with weddings is
high heels.
High heels, your feet hurt, Spanx. All those goodies for,
It's so funny because when I came to greet you when you first arrived to this TV station where we're recording this at my workplace, I had my comfy shoes on at the time. Because if you watch this video, you'll see I have big giant heels on, which is not something I wear all day. I'll wear them on TV for a 30-minute time period. If I had to wear these to a wedding, they would be kicked off under the table.
Yes.
And I didn't realize, and I guess this is common now at weddings and bar mitzvahs and these kinds of parties where they will give out flip-flops or slippers for you to dance in.
So that when your feet hurt, you won't leave. You can just put these on and still go out dancing. Although at my age, you knew some of the songs, but some of the songs I was like, this must mean I'm in the getting old era because I didn't really know some of the music. But my feet, thank God we were staying at the hotel. So when my feet started throbbing with the high heel, not platform shoes, I was able to go up and switch. Although the shoes did not go with the dress, I didn't care. My feet were in so much pain. Yeah.
There's, you're a couple of cocktails in. Yes, you're celebrating young love.
Right. Oh yeah, young love.
The Spanx part you mentioned made me laugh because when my husband's cousin got married, I disappeared into the ladies' room and I took my Spanx off like people do after a couple of hours in those things. And they're expensive, so you're not leaving it anywhere.
Right.
And I didn't have a big enough purse, so I hid it behind the sanitary napkin little dispenser thing and came back for it at the end of the night.
I've never taken my Spanx off. I've taken shoes off.
No,
but no one wants me to take those Spanx off.
Well, you get to a point where you're like, okay, at least for me.
Especially after you eat, they get a little tight and uncomfortable.
A little bit tight. So a couple of things that are coming up. We're also going to be doing an episode, and this is my little pun I made on procrastination. And I said, what should we do first? I feel like we should put the procrastination episode off.
Right.
So we're going to do that next week.
Right.
So, but I do want to speak about the fact that you and I are now connecting telepathically.
It's weird.
It's weird. I'll go to text you or you'll go to text me. And while we're about to put the first letter into the phone, the other person texts first with the same thing.
Exactly. And it was not only the same exact thought, but it was the same exact moment. And if my husband wouldn't have called me into the other room real quick,
you'd have won?
I would have won. I would have
first.
texted first. So it's weird. We're starting to both think the same things at the same time. I know.
I'd say we'd sync our cycles up, and neither of us are able to do that.
That won't happen.
That's not happening. Okay, so let's talk about reunions. My high school has its 50-year anniversary coming up. It's not a reunion, and I hesitate to say that because it sounds like I'm saying it's the 50-year reunion.
Right.
Not that that's that far off. I'm not saying it's that far off, but
your 50th or your 40th?
No, I'm saying the 50th. It's not like this one's the 50th anniversary. The 40th.
Oh, for your 40th. See, I've already been to my 40th.
Right.
Yeah.
So reunions are a funny animal because you've got your 10-year class reunion where pretty much everyone shows up.
Right.
Or they did before social media. Now with social media, there's not that compulsion to where you want to see everybody because you've lost touch.
Right.
That's
true. I didn't think about that. In 1990 when we had our 10-year, there was no social media. So it was a big turnout. So I didn't go, but it was a big turnout.
And then the 20-year comes along. Things are very different. People are now settled down. A lot of them have found their spouses. Some are on their, you don't think so? That wasn't the case for you at your 20th?
No, but I grew up in Miami. I think, honestly.
So did I.
I honestly think it depends where you went to high school. Because I have friends who, they could be in different parts of the country, and it's not the same as growing up in Miami. Because Miami in the 80s, need I say more, Miami Vice, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
So, it was very different for the 20th for ours.
So at your 20th, you didn't. I'm trying to think. My 20th, was I married but no kids yet? I'm trying to remember. That would have been. Yeah. No. I already had. I had one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was married and had.
Right, but that's my point. I feel like at the 20th, that's when people have been married and they're coming back with their families, and then the 30th, some of them are. We didn't have a 30th, but I'm assuming some of them are then divorced.
Went to the 30th, too.
You did. Okay, so 1980 was your graduation year.
Yes.
What were some of the popular things of that time?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Okay. The Wall from Pink Floyd was the #1 record, another record my husband
and that was the one
loved.
everyone would love to sing because you could say, we don't need no education.
Yes. Like, I did know the song. I just wasn't a big Pink Floyd fan. I was still in my disco era.
I don't know that I was a Pink Floyd fan so much as I was like the anarchy of it all at the time.
Call Me from Blondie was also #1, and Lady from Kenny Rogers. So if that isn't a mixture of #1 music of 1980, I don't know what is.
Funny you say that Lady from Kenny Rogers was your song.
I love that song.
The #1 song, because our prom song, and I graduated in 84, our prom song was Through the Years by Kenny Rogers.
Oh, I love that song too.
Yeah.
I was a big Kenny Rogers fan.
That's funny to me.
Coal Miner's Daughter, Friday the 13th, the first one.
Okay.
Star Wars Empire Strikes Back.
Another movie you never seen.
Another movie I never saw. And of course, one of my all-time favorites, Urban Cowboy.
Oh, that was your movie.
Yeah, that was. TV was Dallas and the Who Shot JR episode. Was in 1980. Dukes of Hazzard.
Ah, those Duke boys.
Magnum PI.
Okay.
Jimmy Carter was president and Ronald Reagan was president-elect. Pittsburgh Steelers won the Super Bowl. John Lennon was assassinated in 1980. Eddie Murphy started on Saturday Night Live, and the launch of MTV as well, which that's important because we didn't have MTV like as music. It started as music, and that started everything.
Sure.
You know, it was a whole new
Right.
music. It was actually music back then on MTV. CNN started, and then in Miami, we had drug problems, the cocaine cartel from Colombia. We had the first race riots in 1980. And of course, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but when you're living there and going through it and going in high school, I knew nothing. My mom never said, "Oh, don't go out. There's..."
Sure.
I mean, when you grew up in that day and age, I mean, as long as you just stay, like, you never were told there's
there
a
was so
riot going on in your like 5 minutes, 10 minutes from your house. Don't go. It was like, okay,
Yes.
whatever. There were people shot at the mall for a
Yes.
drug,
We used to, in high school, and I shouldn't, it's not like my kids will hear this and they're past the age where I have to worry about it, but we had IDs, even in high school, fake IDs. And we'd go down to Miami to this bar called Casanova's. And this place, looking back, I mean, we had no business going, to these places where there was a lot happening that was not for high school kids. And we'd go to all of those places. But, the getting back to the whole reunion piece of it, what I was getting to with the social media is you really, with social media, you can show your best side. So when you're doing that, do you still want to go to the reunion and see everybody face to face when you can pick and choose who you're going to stay connected with much more easily on social media? So
that's a good question.
Yeah, I just wonder, do people still feel the same way about their reunions? We, for example, when I turned 50, a group of us from high school did go down to South Florida and all get together, but we were able, because of social media, to really pick and choose. It was the people that we really remembered spending time with versus the people that, I was in your class such and such, and I don't really remember them, but vaguely I know their name. So I don't know if it's different now.
Well, for all my reunions, except the last one, the 50th, no, the 40th, there wasn't social media yet. I mean, there was, but our age group was definitely not using it. So that wasn't even an issue. And I remember at the 40th, they had a photographer there, and I don't remember, people took their own group photos, but it wasn't like it is for some reason now. I feel because there wasn't TikTok back then and there wasn't Snapchat. You know what I mean? There was only Facebook. And so it was just different. And I think everyone went each year because everybody did go. It's because we didn't have social media. I don't know if people would be jumping to go now that they see the same people on all social.
Well, that's it exactly.
Yeah.
So this, I've got to tell you, this 50th high school anniversary that's coming up in just a few weeks, I'm really on the fence. I've already decided I'm going down to South Florida. Like, that is going to happen. I will be going. Will I go to the events? First of all, one is a food truck family style event. And that sounds
family?
nice on the Friday night.
Okay.
The Saturday is a dinner in the gym and a tour of the school. It's a dry event.
No alcohol?
Yes, no alcohol because it's in the school. But they said they made it early enough so people could form like their groups and go out afterwards, which I think is really smart.
Yeah, that's good.
And they said they'll be seating people with their classes pretty much because it is an all classes reunion. So they'll try to put you with people from your era so you can talk and chat and maybe pick a place for everyone to meet up afterwards. So I'm on the fence as to which portions of those I will attend. I'm kind of curious to walk through the halls of the high school. I think that would be really interesting to do. Have you been back to your high school?
Oh, yeah. I've been back many times.
Okay.
But it's when I go to South Florida, my in-laws live right near my high school, so it's so easy to drive by. And one reunion, we went inside and we looked around and saw how different. We didn't have air conditioning back then in Miami. Now they have air conditioning. So that was
air conditioning.
Yeah, none, no air,
Imagine
unless you got one of the trailers that were extra outside that had the portables. So now they have air conditioning in the whole school. So that was nice for these new kids.
I can't even imagine sitting there sweating. I remember going to PE class, physical education class, and then having math after that, and I'd still be sweating.
Oh, it was brutal.
It was brutal, but we had AC.
Oh, no, we definitely did not. And I mean, it was hot, especially when you got in the beginning of school and at the end of school. It was sweltering hot. And they'd open the windows like that helped, but it didn't. But
opening the window.
Yeah, like that really helped.
In May, late May.
Right.
Or early June. Have you ever heard of a hormone disruptor? It doesn't sound good because it isn't, and they're everywhere. If you're starting to feel overwhelmed by hormonal changes, we've got something great to share with you. It's called Hormone Harmony, and it contains science-backed herbal extracts called adaptogens. And here's the beauty about those. They help the body adapt to stressors like chaotic hormonal changes. You're not imagining the racing thoughts or the low moods because those are menopause symptoms. So is poor sleep, bloating, and gas. Happy Mammoth, the company that created Hormone Harmony, is dedicated to making women's lives easier. Try Hormone Harmony. For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Use our code UUPodcast at checkout. That's happymammoth.com. Use the code UUPodcast for 15% off today. Go to happymammoth.com and use the code UUPodcast. Uncluttered and Unfiltered is supported by Hearts for Minds. Can you imagine waiting 10 years to get screened for cancer? On average, people with mental health issues experience a 10-year delay between symptoms and seeking help, and close to 2/3 of mental illnesses go untreated. Hearts for Minds promotes healthy lives by promoting mental health education, facilitating early identification, and connecting people to treatment. Are you ready to learn more? Go to heartsforminds.org. That's hearts, the number 4, minds.org for more information and to learn how you can help. June, I can't even imagine.
But that brings me an interesting question when you said family night. I never have brought my husband to one of these events.
You were
not
kidding.
even one. Number one, he did not want to go. But number two, I don't think you can have as much fun because you're making sure they're having fun.
I agree with that.
And when you get to a high school reunion, everybody, in my opinion, assumes their role from when they were in high school. I don't care how old you are. The popular girls pretend they're still popular. You know what I mean? Like you can't avoid that. It's happened with every single reunion I've been to.
I'm going to give you an exception to that rule that happened at mine. And that is one of my friends, Kim, was, first of all, I have to tell you, I did enjoy my husband attending with me because I used to tell him about all the girl fights at my school. We had a lot of physical girl fights. People pulling it out of each other's hair. Oh, yeah, like fist fights. Girls would fight all the time at my high school.
Wow.
And, and it kind of like it was affirming to have him come back and hear the stories. And so one of my friends, Kim, actually approached another lady at the reunion and said, I want to apologize. She's like, I remember pushing you against a locker and threatening you.
Gosh.
Yes. And I want to apologize. This woman went on to be a guidance counselor. I'm talking about the pusher, not the pushee. She went on to be a guidance counselor at a local private school here in town where we live now. And she helps teens. She really has turned over a new leaf, but she was apologizing. So there are, I think, some things like that go down at a reunion, but for the most part, I agree with you. It is definitely a step back in time, and the hierarchy happens.
It just happens. And then one funny thing from our 20th, not funny, funny, strange. We were, because they still did the old school slideshow, back
Yeah.
at the 20th. So they were getting ready to do the slideshow. And then all of a sudden there was this commotion going on, and everyone's like, what's going on? What's going on in the ballroom of the hotel? Someone from high school, or that went to our high school, I don't know if it wasn't from the same year, knew we were having a reunion and had a bone to pick from all those years ago, from 20, and showed up in a threatening manner to the person they were picking the bone with. And they were threatening the person. And we were all like, oh my God, thank God there was a police officer that was from our reunion.
Had drama.
We had a drama.
Wow.
So that was like, everyone was, and then they were like, okay, slideshow time. And we're like, okay, someone just came in here and like threatened people and was angry from 20 years ago. I don't know if I could watch the slideshow.
Yeah, that's an anticlimactic moment.
Yeah, exactly. So 20 years was very bizarre.
That is, at ours, I think I remember watching that slideshow and thinking to myself, wow, you know who had the most fun in high school? The band kids. As I was watching these slideshows, I was thinking to myself, wow, I didn't know that this group, because people had submitted their photos, and I was like, this group was having a ton of fun, and we didn't even know. They were just lots of pictures of them, like hanging out, partying, and it just seemed like they were having a blast in high school, and I never even knew that.
Well, I think the 20th is, at least for that year, because like I said, we didn't have social media then. I think the 20th was very funny because you see how people changed from their past experiences living in Miami. Like, a lot of people had just gotten out of rehab. It was a different time.
Oh yeah, it changes so much, 10 to 20 to 30 to 40.
Right.
And like I said, we didn't have a 30th. We had the thing where a bunch of us kind of in between 30th and 40th, we all got together and did something, just a bunch of us. But yeah, it's interesting. Well, let me ask you this question, because I thought about posting this on our group page, the Uncluttered and Unfiltered Ladies Only page. And then I rethought it because I don't know that anyone would answer it honestly. And there's always somebody who wants to say, I'm not shallow like that, so I wouldn't do anything different. But I respect that. But would you answer this honestly? You just found out that in 3 weeks you're having a high school reunion. What is the first thing you're going to do right now?
I only have 3 weeks.
You have 3 weeks. What are you going to do?
I may debate on not going if I only had 3 weeks.
You have to go.
I have to go?
Because, let's think of some reason you have to go. You have to go because somebody you haven't seen in many, many years that you they're out of the country and they're going to be in the country. So you really have to go.
Well,
are you booking Botox appointments?
I couldn't get a facelift in 3 weeks.
Right.
So that would be out.
Okay.
3
weeks.
3 weeks.
Spray tan, some appointments.
Well, of course, a spray tan. That's a given. I would try to do a rushed Botox appointment.
Uh-huh.
Although
that takes 2 weeks.
Although I just don't think that would be enough in 3 weeks.
Make sure the hair.
Make sure your hair is cut and colored and highlighted. But I almost feel like with only 3 weeks, I might just say, forget it. You're getting what you're getting.
Which is the right answer,
of
course. That is the right answer. But it's not my answer. I mean, my answer is all the things you just said.
Yeah.
I'd be in a tizzy. That's an insecurity thing. I get it. But the last thing I want to do is like walk into that place and feel that old high school insecurity. I want to feel polished. I want to feel good about myself.
What was funny was I went to my 30th and my 40th, and the 30th, I felt like the men looked better.
Oh, yeah.
Like the men looked amazing. But then the 40th, the women started to look really amazing. Whether they had work done, I don't know. I didn't ask. But the 40th, the women looked better, I felt, than the men. And it's weird how that changes and how people, like by the 40th, a lot of people were on their second and third marriages. Every reunion had weird, odd things. about,
Okay.
yeah.
Let me ask you this question, that since you're from South Florida like I am, and this isn't to exclude anybody else, every state, every country has something different, but when I went back, there were a lot of very wealthy men who profited over hurricanes. There were a bunch of roofers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there were a lot of guys who now were contractors and roofers, and they had all
wow.
cashed in because it was the late 80s, mid to late 80s. And there were some big hurricanes in South Florida after that.
Oh, right, Andrew.
And so,
Yeah.
and so they had become very
Oh, no,
successful.
Now I'm trying to think. No, I didn't get any. I didn't even ask, and I don't think anyone asked us girls about jobs or anything. It was when I tell you people go back to their roles, they go back to their roles. I mean, the popular girls, even if they didn't look good, they wanted to be they were still the queen bees, which is funny because I always say the ones that are cheerleaders and the homecoming queen, I think they peaked early. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's their glory days.
Well, in some cases, I'm sure that's true.
In some cases, it's true. And so it was just interesting to see. Now,
so which one were you? What were you?
You know, I was kind of the middle of the road.
Same with me. I was like friends out, like the outlier to every single group.
I was kind of, anyone that was friendly with me, I kind of would be friendly with them. I mean, I was friends with popular girls, and then I was friends with people that weren't popular. But I loved my reunion because I went to every single reunion with my best friend since 7th grade, Valerie. And so we would always go together and make it a girls' weekend. And it was just so fun because we went to high school together. We did everything together so we could relate.
That's a great experience.
It's a great experience, how people have changed. A lot of people also by the 40th passed away from illnesses, from whatever that they had passed away. So we're debating on the 50th. That's in 5 years.
Do you have a high school memorial Facebook page? We
yes,
have one.
we do.
Oh, it's brutal.
It's brutal. It's
brutal.
sad. Yeah, and so my 40th was a week before COVID hit and the shutdown. So we went to the reunion. Had I known, by the way, I think I would have really partied a lot more because we kind of were very tame.
Yeah.
But we went, and the girl that was running everything, you know, the president of your class plans to she was so sick and coughing, and we were like, oh, what a bummer, because she's so fun and so funny, and we're like, what a bummer, because she couldn't really do anything. And then we get back, and a week later, it's a shutdown, and it's COVID, and we're like, oh my God, she had COVID. And then we were all scared we were going to get COVID because we knew she had COVID. So every reunion had its little bit of drama on what had happened.
I love that you use the word bummer too, because that's so of the times.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
It is.
Bummer, man. What a bummer.
Yep.
So is there anything else you want to add to our conversation about reunions?
I think
family reunions is a whole other subject.
No, that's a whole different thing. I have to say one thing about college reunions. When I graduated, I did go back like to the 5-year, the 10-year with my sorority sisters. We'd all meet and make it like a girls' weekend. So fun. But then with college, as the years went by, some people bailed and they didn't want to go, and it just, you know, and so and then COVID hit and everyone stopped traveling. So that one has not been as big as a deal to me as high school. And so although I had, you know, you have your sorority sisters or whatever, it's different. It's not the same as high school. And I think if you're on the fence about going, I would go to a high school reunion.
I think I probably will attend one or the other. Plus, because it's all classes, my sister and I can go together.
Oh,
so
that's a given.
Kind of, yeah. So but she's the same as I am. She's like, I don't know.
I would definitely go. I think it's funny, and it really is like belly laughing, like where you laugh so hard that your stomach hurts.
Okay, you've talked me into
Yeah, I just think that you see things that you're like, wow, you know, just that shock you, you know, or amaze you, or wow, so-and-so looks amazing. Who was her doctor? You know what I mean?
Who is her?
I mean, you know,
Can just be good, clean living.
I think now, I don't think I'll go to my 50th. Now, I could change my mind, but I don't. It's not for 5 more years, so I have 5 more years to decide. I may, though, but I thought I was done after the 40th. I'm like,
They just didn't do a 40th for us.
Yeah.
It would have been last year, but
Yeah.
well, this will count. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode. As always, we want to ask you to please share us with just one friend. That's really all we're asking. And we certainly could, could give you all of the things like leave us a star, leave us a review. Those are all very, very helpful, but we don't claim to understand any of it. So just do that.
Yeah.
Share us with one friend, and then also join us on Ladies Only, Uncluttered and Unfiltered Ladies Only on Facebook. It's a private group, but once you're in, you're in. And until next time, remember, when that invitation arrives, and it will be an Evite this time around.
Right.
When that Evite arrives for your reunion, you can let it go.
and don't look back.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to paint their door a vibrant shade of blue. Others have the need to decorate their bathroom with fish, anchors, and other nautical items. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.